Week 9 in the books. Let's break it down. We're going to start with Glory Hole playing El Grenas because this was a matchup between two teams I think are underrated, and mainly the one team that I've been talking about being underrated and needing wins fast because they are my prediction to win the league, and they get the win. Glory Hole goes to 5-4, putting up 139.4. Not stunned by the performance, but did just enough. I mean, again, it's another week that you get some disappointing performances from guys I'm not concerned about, and Kamara and Dalvin combining for 20 is just not what you're looking for, and then Herbert just continues to have the off weeks, but the running back group really solid. Tyreek continuing to be absolutely insane. I think DK is consistent enough that you could be excited about it. The only guy I'm really concerned about here is DJ Moore. Just bit the inconsistency at quarterback, and that play I think is just a little bit more concerning. But you're getting Ayuk back. That's going to replace Curtis Samuel, so I'm not even going to address it because Curtis Samuel had a good week, but you're not playing Curtis Samuel, I don't think, over DJ Moore, at least from where I'm sitting. So I think for the most part, the only switch I make is I don't know why Higbee's playing at this point over Hockenson. I get because of the trade. Moving forward, I think Hockenson is showing that he's this valuable running back, tight end. I think he's going to be the guy. I still believe Glory Hole is going to his way all the way to the finals. So let's see. El Grenas, disappointing loss, going to 4-5. Jalen Hurts had another good game, and Dameon Pierce had another good game, but you couldn't get it from Raheem Mostert, who I think it's panic time on. Getting to be the backup running back, but behind Jeff Wilson. I mean, it was like a 60-40, and I think for the most part, Mostert still has some fantasy value, but what a downgrade. This is a team that I think is still underrated, some unbelievably solid pieces, but this Mostert downgrade hurts a lot. We're going to hope for you that either A.J. Dillon gets some action because of Aaron Jones being injured, or Najee Harris comes back and is super, super solid. I think this team's still underrated. I think it's going to be able to make a playoff run. 4-5 does not do it justice. I believe this is an off week. You'll be back. But Glory Hole is really where I'm putting my chips behind. So let's keep an eye on that. Next matchup, another 4-4 team going up to 5-4. Team El Captain, really solid week, 153.24. I did say they were underrated at 4-4. They proved to be underrated. The reason we said that is just that some high-end guys, that the ceilings are too high. Mahomes, highest ceiling quarterback. Justin Jefferson, highest ceiling wide receiver. There were some disappointing performances from your guys. Saquon, by the way, near highest ceiling running back, but he's on the bench at bye. So I think with Saquon coming back, Amari coming back, I think this team removes all the poor performances, keeps all the top guys, and is going to be able to make a run. 5-4 I think is appropriate. If anything, I think it's even better than a 5-4 team, and it's going to be able to make a run. Team the Chairman, really, really tough loss. I said underrated at 3-5. I said you'll end up 500. 3-6 is a little bit concerning, but I think it's hard to be overly concerned. You would have beaten both those teams we were just talking about in the Glory Hole Grenas matchup. So I still believe it's an underrated team. I think that Eckler Etienne running back group is super, super solid. I think the Romeo Doubs injury was super, super disheartening given that if he was healthy, he could have carried you to a win. But we see some guys on your bench. We see Deshaun Watson. Maybe he'll overtake Rodgers when he comes back. We see CeeDee Lamb and Mark Andrews. You're waiting for them to come back. So disappointing loss, but 3-6, I think there's the best 3-6 team and a team that could make a run. Paco Libre goes to 6-3. Gigantic win. I said you were underrated at 5-3. Gonna hold to that, and that was despite an off week for Josh Jacobs, and that was despite having McCaffrey on bye and Debo on that bye/injury spell that he's on, and Dallas defense on bye. So kudos to you on some really solid plays. Tua is just proving to be a top quarterback. Jalen Waddle is proving to be a really valuable wide receiver. I didn't give him enough credit. I'll just say it. So I think for the most part, really, really solidly done. Obviously, at tight end Travis Kelce, there's just no weaknesses with this team. I think 6-3 is more appropriate than 5-3. I'm really nailing these overrated, underrated so far. Well, let's see, because Paint Train was 4-4, and I said they were appropriately 4-4, and they get the loss. They go with Aaron Jones, who gets injured, doesn't play it out. But I think the real concern here is Jarvis Landry got the start. He was injured. So this team is not super on top of it, unfortunately. And I think that could be the difference, honestly. I mean, I guess you would have lost unless you replaced him with someone who went absolutely crazy. But it's also worth noting, if you played Justin Fields, you would have won this game. But I can't blame you for going Burrow over Fields. So you're going to get Keenan Allen back. You're hopefully going to be more on top of it with the injuries. I think Juju's proven to be more involved. So I think at 4-5, you could still make a run. But man, I mean, to start someone who's not there, I mean, that's got to make the locker room just start questioning their coach at that point. Caesar Trons versus Untouchables. Caesar Trons gets a huge win. Both these teams are in the mix, so this is a really big game. Caesar gets a win to go to 5-4. I said at 4-4 is appropriate. I still think 5-4 is appropriate, and it was behind Joe Mixon 62.1 points. Absolutely nuts. You're not going to get that every week, but I do think you have a consistent enough roster to be able to make a run. 5-4, I think, is right where you should be. You're going to get Chubb back, of course. Zeke probably coming back soon. I think your running back group's deep, but I think your wide receiver group's still a little bit concerning, especially if Josh Allen misses time, then Gabriel Davis gets a downgrade. I think this, though, was a huge win. I think it's a team that's going to make a run for the playoffs, but I don't think it's really at that top tier. I think it would take a lot for you to be able to make that run. It would take Mixon really being a high-end RB1. Like, he played this week to make a run. So we'll keep an eye out if that happens. I think 5-4 makes sense for this team, and I think it could make the playoffs. Untouchables, big loss because now you're tied at 5-4. I think this is the worst running back starting group I've seen in any league. Rashad White, a backup running back. Clyde Edwards-Helaire, a third-string running back. Both getting to start. Absolutely brutal. It's because you had Pollard on bye. It's because Jonathan Taylor was injured. But just too weak of a running back group, even with Jonathan Taylor, if he does come back. I just don't. The ceilings are just too low on all these running backs. Even Jeff Wilson, good news for you is that he seems like he's going to be involved in Miami, but I don't think it's enough. And then you have, every time I look at this team, I like it a little bit less. So Untouchables, you were 5-3. I said for Untouchables that this team was overrated at 5-3. I'm nailing it. Holy shit. Only 1 week, but wow. And I'm going to keep saying it's a little overrated even at 5-4. I'm going to say it's a little overrated at 5-4. Final matchup, we went with Jared. Tough loss going to 4-5. Live in the video to a must win at going to 4-5. And this is where I will say, actually, no, I said Yoda was appropriately at 3-5. So yeah, I guess I'm still, it could have went either way. I think Team Live in the video Yoda is outside looking in still. I think you got huge weeks from some great guys. Kenneth Walker, Devontae Adams are amazing pieces. Josh Allen's an amazing piece. Cordell Patterson's a very good piece. But I mean, this wasn't a team. You had Kittle out, but that's really it. This isn't a team that had any stud running back wide receivers on the bench. I think that's my issue is their wide receiver depth. You got good weeks out of Palmer and Lockett, but Palmer's not going to last when Mike Williams and Keenan come back. And Lockett's just going to be too inconsistent. I mean, he only had 5 targets. So with all of that being said, I mean, I just think this is a team that you're going to see. This is the ceiling, and I think they're at 4-5. It's just going to be a tough run, but I think this keeps you alive. And it was a gigantic week, so let's be optimistic, celebrate, make sure the locker room has some good morale. But I just think it's, if I had to guess now, this isn't going to be a playoff team. We went with Jared, another 4-5 team, and another team that had to start some really questionable guys this week. But this one was a little bit more because of injuries. I mean, you had Darren Waller out for injury at tight end, and then you also had the best wide receiver in fantasy, the second best wide receiver in fantasy, Jamar Chase, is still out. So I think when you get these guys back to pair again, Jamar with Cooper Kupp, that's where this team really comes in. That's why we went with Jared. I've been getting a little bit higher on. I think overrated at 4-4 is what I said, and you went to 4-5. So, wow, I think I nailed almost every team, that means. But I've been a little bit higher on, is what I'm saying, versus pre-draft. I was a little bit low pre-draft. I'm coming back around to this team having pieces, but I just think there's a little bit too many gaps also. I think both these teams are just definition of 4-5 teams. I wouldn't change it, wouldn't have it any other way. And I think these are the teams that are going to be in the mix. And if you make it, you're one and done. If you miss it, you miss it. I think that's where these teams rank. So we'll see. We will see. This is where the season gets really exciting. You know, going into week 10, you start really seeing the playoff picture take shape. Again, 6 teams are going to make the playoffs. Right now, Paco Libre and El Captain are the teams that are going to have the bye. And I think for the most part, those are teams that I'm okay seeing with the bye. I mean, Paco Libre, again, I said I like them a lot at 6-3. El Captain, I said I like them. Wait, how's that possible? 5-4 is your 2 seed. That's crazy. That is very uncommon to have 5-4 and a 2 seed. In my league, we have 2 7-2 teams. I'm one of them. And they would be in the bye this week. So wow. So the bye is totally up for grabs. Playoffs are totally up for grabs. This is the tightest. I mean, your worst record's 3-6. You only have 1 of them. 8 of the 10 teams are 5-4 or 4-5. I've never seen this in my life. So wow, this is going to be an exciting stretch for you guys. Good luck in week 10. We're going to see a lot of shifts. It could really go anyway. So good luck to everyone. Talk soon.